Hey, baby.
Come to Butthead.
1069er, 1069er, we got whores in the city. We need backup now.
What's up, everybody, and welcome yourselves back to another brand new edition and a brand new episode of Division 2 Builds. I am Relentless XRG, and by all means, it would be very much appreciated if you would smash that like button and ground and pound that subscribe button as well. And if you want to take it one step further and show your appreciation and support, it is not necessarily needed, but if by all means, if you feel the need to, then hit that membership button as well and enjoy all the perks of becoming a part of the Gorilla fam. But anyways, I foresaw what, through the PTS of what was going to be potentially, I'd say 99.9% sure what the meta was going to be, and then what everybody else was going to go ahead and put out builds. It was very predictable that it was going to be straight DPS builds, of course, with the new Heartbroken set. So, as always, I forge my own path. I do not follow the crowd, but I always put out something viable. Because after all, with my potato aim, I need something very viable just to stay alive. But without further ado, I'm going to send you to some gameplay. Just quick, short, briefly, and then we'll get right into the build. So we'll see you guys and gals back here in just a moment. About to be surrounded.
I am the great Cornholio. I'm a gringo.
I'm trying to...
I have no bunghole. Bunghole.
Attica!
Oh, they're all about to kneel. Don't worry.
You must bow down to the almighty bunghole.
Yep. That's pretty nice. That's neat.
Can you deal with that?
There you go.
The almighty bungholio.
Damn friendly
Kneel.
unload never.
Oh, behind us.
Ah, don't touch me, asswipe. You must bow down to the almighty bunghole.
Watch the ladies trying to cookie grits. Oh, they come off the street. What the hell?
Tag as many as possible.
Mm-hmm.
The almighty bungholio.
Alright, so let's hop into the build. Now, keep in mind that these values, the attributes and everything, the values of those attributes are going to change depending on your particular playstyle and what your personal preference is as far as when it comes to picking said attributes. As you can see, I'm using the new TKB assault rifle, and it has measured on it. And of course, you go with stability. You don't necessarily need the crit chance or crit damage because this is not a crit build. I'm just trying out a new AR. So it's basically just a secondary weapon. The main thing is the blue screen right here. Almost maxed out. I gotta, optimize that one more slot to get it completely maxed out. And as you can see, it's completely proficient. And what it does, disruptor rounds. Shooting an enemy marks that enemy and adds a stack to the agent up to a count of 50. Shooting a marked enemy releases the mark and adds stacks to the agent. When you deploy a non-shield skill, remove stacks and agent, and all marked targets trigger an effect. And there's the effects: 1 to 10 pulse marked targets for 5 seconds. 11 to 25 pulse and disrupt marked targets for 5 seconds, and then it increases further from there to 25 to basically 49 pulse, disrupt and disorient marked targets, and then the 50 stacks pulse, disrupt and disorient marked targets and hostiles within 10 meters of the marked targets for 5 seconds. This effect will trigger immediately if any marked enemy is killed. And what comes on it basically is reload speed, weapon handling, stability, and rate of fire, so it basically shoots like a laser. Now, what makes it I guess, complete as trying to come up with a PvE build slash possibly could be PvP, but primarily I've used it on every heroic mission, even in Countdown, running it there. It is a great build, not only for supplying, your fellow agents and your comrades with additional, armor or whatnot, but with the blue screen, basically you make them all bow down to you, and it comes in quite handy, especially since you are utilizing a certain particular skill, in which we'll get into a moment, that synergizes everything in a nice knit package. So when you equip the blue screen, potentially you shoot a target, you just mark them. It'll be marked by, like you've seen in the gameplay. As far as the markers above them, you can mark several at once, or like the elites, you can shoot them, ever how many, and build those stacks up, and then mark all the rest of them. And let's say, you got those huggers that want to explode, that push up on you, or you're just getting completely, twisted up and straight jacked by NPCs coming from all sides, and you need a breather, need to get away. All you have to do is release that pulse, and what it'll do, it'll make them all bow down. And when you incorporate that with the new Heartbreaker set, as you can see, 2 pieces: assault rifle damage, LMG damage, weapon handling, and of course the heart stopper. Headshots apply a pulse for 5 seconds. So basically, you ding them in the noggin, or continuously ding them in the noggin, or just ding them once, and shoot them in the body, and it gives you stacks of armor. Use that in conjunction with the blue screen. When you make all those NPCs bow down, it makes them easy targets. And since, also in conjunction with that, when you pulse them, they bow down, and while the duration of that pulse is on them, and you're pounding them with, your blue screen, then what you're doing is you're further building those stacks of armor on yourself. So in essence, I only have 1.7 mil armor. Potentially, with the amount of stacks that you can get and to achieve, which is 50 stacks, that brings you to, let's do a quick little math, half of 1.7. But you could even take that to 1.9 and just roll all blues or whatnot, and potentially you get anywhere between like 2.6, 2.7 million, all the way up to possibly can reach, if you a certain way, 2.9 million armor with all your stacks built up. And it is quite easy, as you've seen in the footage, to build up those stacks completely and just continue to push forward. Now, these do not have the best rolls on them. I just used them as is. And, since I've been away for so long, I didn't have hardly any materials to really roll anything, optimize everything. So, I mean, it'll be even better once everything is fully optimized. But of course, armor in the core attribute. And then, as you can see, proficiency rank is already up, and I've only been using it probably for the last, I'd say, 2.5, 3 hours. And then the attributes. I was like, what could I actually use with this that makes it a support build and also survivability build without actually resulting into causing you to put in, a lot of electronics, and then you just become more of a particular, I think, casual healer build. And I want to go in a different direction and not just a DPS build, because I tried it with glass cannon and every different thing as far as, the DPS wise, but you kill the NPCs so fast, with something like glass cannon and vigilance, that it's hard to build up that many stacks, because you can't, land 50 bullets on them, because they're dead after like, 10. So therefore, that's why I went with more of a support style, but still doing adequate enough damage, and you have tons of survivability, and of course the attributes. What goes with that? Of course, skill haste, so that way you can, pulse more frequently. And then, of course, what next goes with that, with this whole setup. And of course, the best thing that I thought I could possibly use was armor regen, because after all, we're not doing the crit damage and crit chance thing. So therefore, in my opinion, with this setup, armor regen and skill haste. But, like I said, to make it your own. Now, let's go to the holster. Also, as you can see, armor regen. knee pads, armor. Need a better armor regen roll on there, but right now I don't have enough to actually go into my recal library and max that armor regen, so that's why it's very minuscule. And of course, the backpack, which is having the backpack as of course, you get the additional called the cold increased total bonus armor gained per stack of Heartstopper from 1% to 2%. So that is key. And as you can see, armor regen and skill haste is there as well. For the damage part of it, since you're using an LMG, why not go with the Petrov Contractor's Gloves? Still need to optimize the weapon damage, but you have the damage to armor, and of course armor regen on them as well. So for this one piece, by using LMG, if you have a max weapon roll damage on there, that's 15 plus 10, that's 25% damage, plus you have the additive 8% damage to armor. Now what makes the build complete with the blue screen and of course the Heartbreaker, or breaking, broken, whatever you want to call it, gear set, is I went with Heligard because it gives you an additional 5% total armor. And since I didn't really go the damage route, I didn't need like the Walker Harris, but if you wanted to go that route, by all means. I didn't need Seska, because I'm not doing crit chance, crit damage. So either this or the new gear set, I'm just going to call it the Battlestar Galactica, but it's the UG gear set because one piece also gives you 5% total armor. And you could actually potentially go off with the don't even use Contractor's Gloves and get that additional 5% armor by using one piece of the UG and one piece Heligard. And that would push you well over 2 million armor. But who would actually want to do that? You want to do some kind of damage, so that way you're not just shooting marshmallows. And of course, max armor, skill haste, armor regen, and as far as the mod slot, you can go with more skill haste, or as I went with protection from elites because I didn't have another skill haste mod. But it's perfect Vanguard. Deploying a shield makes it impenetrable for 5 seconds or invulnerable, and grants 50% of your armor as bonus armor to all other allies for 20 seconds, and it's only on a 25-second cooldown. In my opinion, the perfect Vanguard is better than the tardigrade. For one, your cooldown is 20 seconds less, so therefore you're giving them 50% of your armor, which mine's 1.7, so that comes to a little over 800k armor just for deploying my shield. And of course, while I'm trying to survive, I'm getting stacks and giving myself armor. And of course, you're stopping the advance of NPCs or whatnot periodically by just continuing to pulse. So that way, if your teammates do need a break in between the action, then you make all the NPCs bow down. And then it gives them a break, gives them a chance to either heal up, reload, whatever the case may be. And if they're getting completely swarmed, let's say in Countdown, by rogue agents, and they need the armor and they're in your group, then just pop open a shield. You don't even have to necessarily use it. And then they have a 50% additional armor to help with their survivability. So it's a completely different, off the beaten path, making my own path, kind of, using the new stuff, and kind of incorporated some old stuff, and it just kind of made the whole Vanguard galvanized situation a lot better because you don't have to necessarily put those status effects on there with galvanized, in order to get the return. So we're using the Heartbreaker. We're gaining stacks of our own armor from that, because when you do make those MPs bow down, make sure you're reloaded completely in the blue screen, and then you will gain 50 stacks like it's nothing on one elite NPC. So you're getting well over 2.5 million armor just off one NPC, and then you're still giving your teammates, when they need it, 50% of your armor, and you just kind of rinse and repeat. And of course, I went with a technician just for the additional electronic, and so that way it brought my cooldown only to 14.2 seconds, and the duration lasts 10.1 seconds. So there's only a 4.1 second differential between that. So therefore, in between your pulse, that 4 seconds, you can lay waste and start tagging the NPCs again. and building those stacks up to make them all get ready for when your teammates need them to bow down or need a break, and rinse and repeat. And as you've seen in the footage, it definitely does come in handy. And as far as the shield wise, I went with, of course, with the Crusader. Health 4.7 million, a little over. Active regen 63,708, and of course the holster regen, as you can see on the screen. And I'm in tier 6, 60% active regeneration, 250% shield health, and 40% holstered regeneration. So therefore, if I do need to deploy my shield, as I'll show you, or as you've seen in the footage, you can have your shield out and still switch, and this way you don't pull out a pistol. You'll go to whatever your other weapon is, such as an AR, SMG, things of that nature, because you can't use an LMG with the shield. Even if you want to go, let's say, with the shotgun as your secondary, you can, by all means, make this build your own, tweak it as you see fit to fit your playstyle, and get the timings down between, getting the callouts from your teammates, when they need a break from the NPCs or getting pushed in like a critical part, either control point, legendary mission, the countdown, PvE mode, or whatever it is. So that way, all you gotta do is pop your pulse. All the ones that you got marked, they bow down, and then if they need additional armor, also with that, you can time it right after that and pop your shield first or after you pulse, so that way they give them a break from the NPCs, they get the bonus armor, and then they can just go to town, especially when you have at least, one or two DPS builds in your 4-man of the 8-man part. So that way, you give them that additional armor because they're running mostly red, so it does definitely help out in that situation too. You give them a break from getting pushed, and also you're giving them bonus armor, and that's why I call it the Heartbroken support build without going into electronics and not, for say going over the whole cookie cutter thing of doing like the spotter vigilance that majority of folks are doing, or say unbreakable, along with the Heartbroken set, and of course vigilance on there. I mean, all those varieties, it's been done, and I wanted to try something new, something fresh, and kind of get your thoughts going over this new stuff on the kind of things that you can create. Make your own path, make your own meta, what feels comfortable to you, what works for you. And just because this build works for me doesn't mean necessarily it's going to work for you. But definitely try it out if you like playing a support build. And just, I mean, it's a cool thing just seeing, 5 or 6 NPCs or as many as you can mark up, especially if they're coming out of like one tunnel and you mark them all up and build those stacks, and then they all just stop and bow down before you at the same time. It's really neat and cool, so definitely try it out. Appreciate all the love and support. Always much appreciated. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I am very humbled, and as always, be a better person tomorrow than what you were today. This is Relentless XRG. We'll see you guys and gals later.